A quick primer on the WKR layout operations. The Western Kansas Rail's layout was designed as a train show layout to be taken to shows and introduce people to the idea of operations instead of just running trains around in a circle. So part of the layout, the outer two lines run just around in a normal circle pattern like N track, and the inner third track is served by multiple industries. And we've set up operations accordingly. Now, since this is kind of an introduction to operations, the operations are kept basically simple. There's no real trickiness going on here. So it's not as intricate as, say, a home layout would be, but we try to keep it interesting nonetheless. So in our startup book, we have the industry start positions. So this gives us a quick introduction to when we set the layout up, what industry, how many number of cars does it have, the type of car, and the status of the car, whether it's empty or loaded. So we're going to do a quick walk around and show you the different industries and the cars accordingly. Okay, this is Teeter Irrigation. It's a agricultural irrigation dealer, and they get loads of aluminum and PVC pipe. So in this case, our starting car position shows 2 gondolas that are empty, ready to be picked up. So that's module number 3. Then we'll move over to module number 4. Now this is a company called Agridyne, and they produce cattle feed. So they bring molasses and other chemicals in, treat them in the tanks, and then ship them out to trucks to the feed yards. And by the way, the names of all the industries are real businesses. They do exist. Then this is a representation of the General Mills flour mill. And although I've got a limited track space, I'm only showing 2 pressure differential hoppers and 2 grain hoppers. The grain hoppers bring in grain to be processed, and the PD hoppers carry out the processed flour. Then around the corner we go to the grain elevator in downtown Dodge City, and this is basically a long-term storage for grains. And you have cars, the inner track is the ones being loaded, the outer track are the ones loaded, ready to be picked up. This is American Implement, and they receive both construction equipment and agricultural equipment by flat car, which they offload and put on their lot for sale. Then next we have Robinson Oil. This is a wholesale oil distributor, and in fact they have the contract to refill or refuel the BNSF locomotives while they're here in Garden City. So they get a tank car of oil, which they then have in various grades, which they sell to their industrial clients. Then High Plains Energy does LP gas, and they get 2 LP tank cars, which are right now empty and are waiting to be picked up. So we'll drop off 2 loaded ones. Then I have a yet unnamed concrete dealer that's getting 4 loads of cement powder kept stored in a silo until it's ready to be processed. And our last industry is a real company called Fantastic Plastics, and they receive plastic pellets of various colors and grades in the train cars, which are unloaded in the building and processed into various plastic components. So that's the basic industries. Then over here in the yard, we actually have 4 yard tracks on each side. I consider them 2 separate yards. So the outer 2 tracks are trains 1 and train 2. Again, I'm keeping it very simple. And the inner 2 tracks are duplicates of trains 1 and 2. You could call them 3 and 4, so that we can do an operating session, bring the train in when we're finished, and then immediately roll again with an identical session following that one. So that's the primer. Now we're going to start doing the actual operations.